In this video, we're going to continue working on multi-step equations. Today, we're going to have variables on both sides. First, let's just do a quick vocab review to make sure that we're still comfortable with the words coefficient, variable, and constant. So in the two-step equation, 5x plus 3 equals 8, the 5 is the number being multiplied by your variable, so that would be labeled as your coefficient. X is your variable, and then there are actually two constants, 3 and 8. So both of those are your constants. All right, first equation, 15 minus 2x equals negative 7x. So when you're solving an equation with variables on both sides, you first want to get all of your variables on one side of the equation, and you can put it either on the left or on the right. That'll depend on how your equation is set up. So I want to get all of my x's combined. Since 7x is already by itself, or negative 7x, I'm going to add 2x to each side. And then that's going to put all of my variables on the right-hand side. So this is a zero pair. And then we're left with 15 equals, and then negative 7x plus 2x is negative 5x. And then now it's just a one-step equation. So divide by negative 5 on both sides to get x is equal to negative 3. All right, next we are going to apply the distributive property, and then we can go through how to solve with variables on both sides. So negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative 5 is positive 10. So right there is a really common place for mistakes. Be sure you're paying attention to your signs. A negative times a negative is a positive. Okay, other side of the equation, we're going to distribute the 6. So 6 groups of 2, or 6 times 2 is 12. 6 groups of negative 1/2 x, half of 6 would be 3. So 6 times negative 1/2 is negative 3. And then you have the x still attached to it. Okay, to solve this equation, really, we have 4 options of what we can do. You could add 2x, subtract 10, subtract 12, or add 3x. As you get more comfortable with solving equations, you'll find it easier to tell what's going to make the problem easiest. In general, if you can get a positive coefficient for x, that might make it easier later on. So we always want to start with getting variables together first. So really my options are adding 2x or adding 3x. If I add 3x to both sides, then that will make a positive coefficient of x. Here's why. This is your zero pair, and then negative 2x plus 3x is positive 1x. So now we just have x plus 10 equals 12. And then you can subtract 10 from both sides. So 1x equals 2. So again, there are 4 correct ways to solve that equation. All of them should give you 2 as the answer. All right, a little bit more practice with just solving equations. So for number 1, I only have 3 terms. So I'm just going to start by subtracting 2x from each side. Get my variables together. Here's my zero pairs. So I have negative 5x equals 19. Divide both sides by negative 5. And then x is equal to negative 19 fifths. If you change that into a mixed number, 5 goes into 19 3 times with 4 left over. So negative 3 4/5 would be your answer. All right, number 2. My options are subtracting 2.5y or subtracting 4.5y to get variables together first. 2.5 is smaller, so I'm going to start by subtracting 2.5y. So this is a zero pair. I've got 6 equals 4.5 minus 2.5 is just 2. And then bring down the minus 1. Add 1 to both sides. So 7 equals 2y. Divide by 2. And y is equal to 7 halves. 7 halves is the same as 3 and 1 half. All right, and third one, we need to distribute. This means 6 groups of 4 minus z. 6 groups of 4 is 24. 6 groups of negative z is negative 6z. And then that equals 2z. Okay, we want variables together first. So add 6z to both sides. So 24 equals 8z. And then when you divide both sides by 8, you get 3 equals z. All right, next one. This is a very typical setup for a word problem with variables on both sides. We're deciding between 2 different car rentals. One's $15 as a flat fee plus 50 cents per mile. The other is $25 as a flat fee plus 25 cents per mile. Whenever you have a word problem, it's a good idea to start by defining your variable. It says find the number of miles. Whatever you're trying to find is going to be your variable. So we can say m represents the number of miles. All right, now we need 2 expressions, one for each car. So the first car, it says 15 plus 50 cents per mile. So 50 cents per mile means we need to multiply the number of miles by 50 cents, or 0.5. Our second expression is 25 plus 25 cents per mile. Again, 0.25 m is 25 cents per mile. We want the same cost, so we're just going to put an equal sign in between, and then we have our equation to solve. So 4 options on what we could do for the first step. 2 if we pay attention to combining the variables first. I'm going to subtract 0.25 m from both sides, since that's a smaller number. And I'm going to squeeze in a 0 there in case you need to borrow. So that is going to cancel as a 0 pair. And then 0.50 minus 0.25 is 0.25. So we have 15 plus 0.25 m equals 25. Okay, next up, subtract 15 from both sides. So 0.25 m equals 10. Okay, now divide both sides by 25 cents. So we're basically figuring out how many quarters are in $10. So when you do that division, you're going to get a total of 40. And m, remember, was the number of miles, so we're going to add units. M is equal to 40 miles. That's our break-even point, where it would cost the same no matter which car we went with. All right, next one is set up in the form of a word problem, but really they just gave us an equation to solve. So I have 4.05 p for pounds of peanuts plus $14.40 equals 450 times p plus 3. All right, let's start by using distributive property right here. 450 times p is 450p plus 450 times 3, which you can see came out to $13.50. Okay, other side of the equation stays the same for now. Okay, we want to get the variable terms together. $4.05 is less than $4.50, so I'm going to subtract 4.05p from both sides. There's my zero pair. When I subtract this, 50 cents minus 5 cents is 45 cents. And then plus 13.50 equals 14.40. Okay, two-step equation. Get the constants on one side of the equation now. So subtract 13.50. We'll need to borrow. So we'll get 90 cents equals 45 cents times P. Okay, so think about how many times 45 cents would go into 90 cents, and that'll help you with your division. So when you divide by 45 cents, that's going to go in twice. And then if we look back up here, it said that P represented pounds of peanuts. So we're going to write 2 with our units, pounds of peanuts. All right. Last example, we're going to tie in some geometry. For vocab, a polygon is regular if each side has the same length. Also, regular means that each angle is the same. So just moving forward, same side lengths and same angles. It says we need to find the perimeter of each polygon. So we need to find the side lengths, and then from there we can find the perimeter. Okay, if our side lengths are the same, we're just going to set up an equation. One side length is equal to the other side length. Okay, we'll go ahead and distribute. 3 groups of x is 3x. 3 groups of -1 is -3 equals 5x minus 6. I want to have a positive coefficient if I can, so I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. So there's 0 pairs. And then -3 equals 2x minus 6. Two-step equation, add 6 to both sides. So 3 equals 2x, divide by 2, and each side length is going to be 1.5. They didn't give us units, so we can just use 1.5. In this pentagon, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides, so we just need to do 5 times 1.5. I know that 1.5 is the same as 1.5, so 5 times 1.5 is 7.5. So this would be 7.5 units for the perimeter. Okay. For the regular triangle, that's also an equilateral triangle. It's also isosceles. We're going to set up 5 minus 2x and set that equal to -4x plus 9. Okay, variables together first. So I am going to add 4x to both sides. That'll give me a positive coefficient in front of x. So 5 negative 2x plus 4x is positive 2x. So 5 plus 2x equals 9. All right, subtract 5 from both sides. 2x is equal to 4. And then divide by 2. And 1x would then be equal to 2. All right, up here we have 1, 2, 3 equal sides. So we're just going to multiply 3 times 2 and get a perimeter of 6 units. All right, be sure that you have all of your steps copied, and hope this helps with solving equations with variables on both sides.